This is Land of Havilah, Job 36, verse 1. Elihu also continued and said, "Bear with me a little, and I will show you, for I still have something to say on God's behalf. I will get my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you." Comment: Elihu says, "I'll get my knowledge from afar," meaning I'm about to tell you some rare and precious stuff that's hard to come by. And then, "one who is perfect in knowledge is with you," meaning I have this thing figured out completely, or I'm about to speak to you with perfect understanding. He's probably not exaggerating. Coming up, he'll point out that God is righteous in his dealings with men. It's all pretty understandable. Verse 5. "Behold, God is mighty and doesn't despise anyone. He's mighty in strength of understanding. He doesn't preserve the life of the wicked, but gives to the afflicted their right. He doesn't withdraw his eyes from the righteous, but with kings on the throne he sets them forever, and they are exalted. If they are bound in fetters and are taken in the cords of afflictions, then he shows them their work and their transgressions, that they behave themselves proudly. He also opens their ears to instruction and commands that they return from iniquity. If they listen and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasures. But if they don't listen, they shall perish by the sword. They shall die without knowledge." Comment in verses 5 to 12, Elihu ensures us that God deals righteously with men. He makes sure that a man's righteousness profits him and his wickedness ruins him. But as he's already said, it might not be instantaneous. Going on, making the same point that a man's choices for evil or good will eventually trigger God to either reward him or punish him, verse 13. "But those who are godless in heart lay up anger. They don't cry for help when he binds them. They die in youth. Their life perishes among the unclean. He delivers the afflicted by their affliction and opens their ear in oppression." Comment in verse 15, God delivers the afflicted by their affliction and opens their ear in oppression, meaning when a man is afflicted and oppressed, he examines himself, repents, and is saved. His affliction and depression, if he responds correctly to them, lead him directly to repentance and salvation. Affliction and depression are the chastisement of God. Verse 16. "Yes, he would have allured you out of distress into a wide place where there is no restriction. That which is set on your table would be full of fatness. But you were full of the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you." Comment: Elihu says, God would make your way easy, but your mind is twisted. You reason like a wicked man. Therefore he takes hold of you with his justice and judgment. Verse 18. "Don't let riches entice you to wrath, neither let the great size of a bribe turn you aside. Would your wealth sustain you in distress, or all the might of your strength?" Comment: he says, don't do evil in exchange for money. Don't accept a bribe. God will see your wickedness and lay distress on you that all your money won't help. In the same way, verse 20, "Don't desire the night when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, don't regard iniquity, for you've chosen this rather than affliction." Comment: he says, don't desire the night and the works of darkness that go with it. It'll cause God to cut you off. To choose iniquity is to choose to be afflicted. Verse 22. "Behold, God is exalted in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who has prescribed his way for him? Or who can say, you have committed unrighteousness? Remember that you magnify his work, whereof men have sung." Comment: he says, remember to magnify God's work, to praise his works, which others before you have praised in song. Speaking of God's work, verse 25, "All men have looked on it. Man sees it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we don't know him. The number of his years is unsearchable. For he draws up the drops of water, which distill in rain from his vapor, which the skies pour down, and which drop on man abundantly." Comment: that was pretty insightful in a scientific way, that God condenses the water vapor into tiny liquid drops that make up the clouds, and further consolidates those drops into rain. They drop on man abundantly, meaning God rains down his judgments on men to teach them. In verse 22, there's no teacher like him. Verse 29, "Yes, can any understand the spreading of the clouds and the thunderings of his pavilion? Behold, he spreads his light around him. He covers the bottom of the sea, for by these he judges the people." Comment: that's also translated by these, meaning by the majesty of the natural world. He nourishes or enriches the people. The way it works is that people contemplate the clouds, the thunder, the light of the sun, the mysteries of the bottom of the sea, all the natural wonders, and their understanding of God is enriched. They judge God to be great and themselves small. Still in verse 31. He gives food in abundance. He covers his hands with the lightning and commands it to strike the mark. Its noise tells about him, and the livestock also concerning the storm that comes up. Comment, all these speak of the glory of God. It even speaks to the livestock. God's not silent about himself, and he's not silent or absentee in his dealings with man. Job 37 is next.